Hello and welcome everybody to our DAIS in an hour session. So last week I had a great opportunity to be at the on-site summit in San Francisco with my colleague Pavel Zayons, who is joining me today also on this session. Hi, Pavel.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Carlos.
So it was an amazing week, and really the event was huge. So in fact, it was the biggest event so far that Databricks has been organizing, with over 30,000 attendees. There was really a lot of announcements. There were really a lot of sessions, and we acknowledge that for many people, especially in time zones that weren't so friendly, considering the times of the sessions, many people might have missed some of the key areas that were shared. So that's why with Pavel we decided to organize this session, where in the next hour what we'll do is we've divided some of the key topics that we thought were most interesting and relevant, and we'll be sharing with you why we think we're relevant and what really it means to everyone. So yeah, let's get started. Now, before I start, just some quick introduction about DS Stream. We are a Databricks partner already for a few years. We specialize in AI, and basically we deliver services around Databricks in three key areas. We help around technical enablement, which setting everything that organizations need around getting really technically ready for AI. We also help companies in how they can get ready from organization perspective, trainings, literacy, etc., and also around business applications. So our industry specialization is retail and CPG. We do also have experience in other industries, but here's where we have our major expertise and where we also build our solutions around Databricks. So over the years working with Databricks, we've had a lot of experience that has been built and a lot of use cases and areas where we see a huge value that Databricks can provide. So we've also been building our specific solutions around the Databricks platform. I won't go into all of them, but just wanted to share some of the areas where we see huge potential for companies. For everyone in the call, this might be relevant for you. We have our AI engineering platform, which I will talk a bit more because that's what we use as a base for building solutions around Databricks. We also have solutions around how to get your SAP data, which is always a very important data, ready to be used with AI and Genie. We also have agentic solutions for CPG data operations, so more around our industry specialization, and also our AI-driven category management. But I wanted to share specifically the AI engineering platform because whenever we are assessing, whenever we're working with platforms such as Databricks, we always have our own perspective of which are the components that companies need to build in order to deliver value with AI. That's why we built our framework for what we believe companies need to build in order to deliver AI engineering. And this is specifically for Databricks. So what we have is a few of the layers, a few of the components that have to be built. And then whenever we go to conferences like we heard last week, we can also check, how the platform is evolving, what new components are being built, and then what to do around it. So specifically after the conference, we updated our reference architecture for Databricks. It's a small picture, but just to share for anyone working with Databricks, we have this reference architecture we can use to support you in seeing what components you have, what components you might need, and also to evaluate those new blocks that Databricks shared during last week. So with that, what we did with Pavel is use this reference architecture, use these components. Once we went into the conference to see how the Databricks platform is evolving, which of the existing components are are getting better, are being developed, and which new components are brought to the architecture. And with that, what we did is we divided and chose some of the top topics that we thought interesting. And we did this around what, the way that Databricks positioned themselves last week. So during last week, the key announcements were done around three basic areas that Databricks sees as fundamental for getting value out of AI, the platforms. So one is around the context, which I will talk about. So how connecting AI to meaning of your data, not just the data itself. Then the area of control, which is around how to govern AI agents and their costs. And then the choice, which is something that the Databricks has always been putting a lot of emphasis in their platform, which is avoiding locking across models, clouds, and data sources. So we chose each of these different components and divided around what I found interesting, what Pablo found interesting, and that's what we'll be sharing in the following point. So from my perspective, I saw, very interesting, fundamental, the context with the semantic layer and Genie ontology, talk about the Databricks agents, putting special focus on the Genie Zero Ops, and then the area of control and choice with Unity AI Gateway. Pavel, on his side, will be sharing his thoughts on the Omnigent key announcement, the Lakeflow, and data engineering specifically, Lakebase, and then an interesting area that wasn't expected and came out, which was around this concept of Raiden and LTAP. So let's go one by one. So I will start with the ones that I found more interesting. And the first one that for me is super important, and it was something, on one hand, I was seeing that was going to be expected, but in the other, that is really in line with the industry, is around the context. So in the last years, we've seen that with the growth and evolution of AI, we've shifted a bit, our focus around consumption personas. So before we were building platforms around data engineering, data science, data analysis, and we still do, obviously. But now with the proliferation of agents, our key consumer has really been agents. So we need to think about what agents need in order to consume data and in order to provide accurate answers. And here we know that one of the key areas for agents, for models to provide accurate answers is the context. Whenever we are prompting agents, models, we need to make sure we're providing the proper context. We need to manage the context as we're doing the prompts. And therefore, all the area of how we manage context is super important. Now, what is really also important is how we provide the context to our agents. And here, the whole concept of building a semantic layer or ontologies on top of your data, which allows agents to better understand, so not only access data, but better understand your data, is one of the key topics in the industry. And it's important, not, as I say, also, from the perspective that then models can give more accurate answers, but also if you have this semantic layer, if you have these ontologies which facilitate the way agents can find data, then they can also be more token efficient. So they can, instead of trying to find data or find meaning of data on the fly and consuming a lot of tokens, by building this semantic layer, you can be more efficient, more token efficient, and this ultimately also translates to more cost efficient use of your tokens. So that's why the Genie ontology, which was announced on the first day, was not a surprise, but also a very key component. We'll see a lot of organizations looking into this, leveraging this, because again, it will it will really support your agents in being more accurate in answers, but also in costs. So the next one is a big focus of Databricks, which is the purpose-built agent. So Databricks offers a series of agents for different purposes, which is for parts of the Genie family. So we have, for example, Genie 1, which is the most, let's say, universal agent that allows you to query data inside your system. Is the most universal because it can be used by different personas. But then you have other more specialized agents like Genie Code for developers. And then you also have, for example, App Builder to build apps with specific Genie agents. Now, for me, what I was most, let's say, happily surprised about was the announcements of Genie Zero Ops. And reason why I'm happy is because it's something that it's a solution, or the concept is a concept that we've been seeing already a bit being implemented by different organizations. It touches how we can leverage agent in operations. As we know, there's a lot of work spent in maintaining solutions, in detecting issues, in assessing issues, seeing who is responsible for the issue, all over to resolving the issues. This takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. So it seems like a great use case for seeing how agents can take a lot of this work. So instead of spending time on fixing and maintaining, we can spend more time on building. And that was the way that Databricks positioned Genie Zero Ops, which is, I would say, their latest agent inside the Genie family. It's a pretty new solution, so I think it will still evolve quite a lot. But it's really something that we believe is going to bring a lot of value to organizations, and especially it will help a lot in maintaining existing solutions. And then my last pick is an area that is always been very well covered by Databricks platforms, which is the area of governance. It's the area where maybe less sexy area that people like talking about, but it's super important. We know previously with Unity Catalog, Databricks really transformed the way governance can be applied to data and AI, and it's become a reference solution in the market. But things have really evolved around your AI ecosystem. There's models, there's agents. So what we had before around governance is not enough anymore, and that's why Databricks have now focused on extending their governance solution on Unity AI Gateway, which is basically a way to govern AI agents, cost, security. So I like to see it like kind of a control tower over all your AI ecosystem, because really we see a lot now the focus on optimizing cost, making sure we are meeting security, we're managing risk. So all these topics are now becoming super important. It's not only about building new agents, using models, consuming tokens. We need to be more efficient, optimize the consumption, and that's where AI Unity Gateway is going to be a key component. So those were my three picks. I will now pass over to Pavel. He has some cool areas he can share with us.
Hello guys again. Quick introduction of myself. I'm senior data engineer in the stream. I've been working almost 4 years now. Mainly, I'm focusing on data engineering within Databricks ecosystem, and on daily basis, I assume and we are trying to apply all best practices in that area using Databricks as an ecosystem. So I'm going to walk through 4 components, 4 topics that I think generally change the whole stack. In my opinion, Databricks isn't building another better data warehouse. They are building the infrastructure for agents that are primary consumers and producers of all enterprise data. So every single one of these announcements, products, either already serves that reality or prepares the ground for the future about agents itself. So as you can see here, the Omni agent, I believe OmniGent, this is the correct name, OmniGent, is essentially the meta harness AI agent orchestrator. So the problem statement with working with agents is that all teams are using different agents, and those different agents don't talk to each other and cannot share any context and information about. There's no zero unified visibility into a cost or into security perspective. So Databricks introduced, I believe, 2 weeks ago, the OmniGent. Like as I said, it's an open source layer that sits above all that agents are available now. So as I said, you can think about it as a multi-coding orchestration. And that OmniGent has 3 features. So first one is the composition. The composition gives you the situation where you can wire together agents from different frameworks like Codex, like Cloud Code, or even custom agent within one session into one workflow. Collaboration, this is the second feature. This is the shared memory and history across all agents, not just within a single agent. And today, those solution does not have such feature. The last one is the control part, uniform cost enforcement, security policy, and routing. So regardless of what's running underneath, the cost should be the I would say the lowest level. Yeah. So how exactly it works? So here on the screen, you can see the runner part, when you can run the CLE agent, Cloud Code Codex, and you have a server. The server consists of history, policies, artifacts, catalog, and scales. In terms of runner, you can choose 2 multi-agent orchestrators. One is a Poly. Poly is a multi-agent coding orchestrator. This agent breaks your task into subtasks and delegates each one to different agent within cross-vendor code review as built-in feature. The second one is a Debbie. Debbie is like more brainstorming partner. So every question is sent to both cloud and OpenAI GPT with a debate skill for a multi-round critique. And at the bottom of that solution, everything is open source. I mean, code agents, custom agents, common API, runner, a server, a uniform interface, like as you can see here. Everything is all open source, so it's great in my opinion. So what is the architectural shift here? So the choose of your agent harness is not a permanent decision, right? So you can, within this OmniGent, you can abstract everything. So it's working like delta sharing or open sharing. So everything underneath is open sourced, and you can run this within a unified API. Yeah, that's everything. So please go ahead, Carlos, to the next slide. Next topic, data engineering. So the top layer here is Spark declarative pipelines. And again, this is open source code. So how it works. you essentially described what the data you want to look. So there's a much more less code to provide within PySpark, and it is easier to maintain for new members of your team to just declare how exactly ETL pipeline should look like. There's no so in my opinion, there's a better way to jump in, and the maintain is also easier. So within Lakeflow, you have three additional components. So first one is the Lakeflow Connect. And Lakeflow Connect is managed ingestion connectors with lineage automatically wired into unique catalog. So it's a huge change in my opinion here. Another one is the Lakeflow Designer. A Lakeflow Designer is visual pipeline builder for teams that don't want to write PySpark code for every transformation. And this Lakeflow Designer is built within Genie code. As far as I remember, Genie 1. And the last thing is the jobs, Lakeflow jobs, to orchestrate everything together. So here, like I said, the main architectural shift here is that once you used Lakeflow Connect, you have exactly a situation where the data become governed asset in unique catalog from the beginning, from day one. So this is another huge change, another way to govern data. Yeah. Go ahead, Carlos, to the next slide. Lakebase, which is essentially serverless Postgres inside the lakehouse. And to be honest, this is the one of the components that at glance it was not, I would say, so shiny, but I dig dive about that solution, and in my opinion, this is pretty amazing. So what exactly this is a Lakebase? So the Lakebase is a serverless Postgres instance, full ACID semantics, and this running natively inside Databricks. Of course, it's governed by unique catalog, and the data are sitting as a delta table, tables. So there is no copy from, so you don't have another copy of Postgres outside the Databricks, but you have Postgres database inside Databricks, and everything is sitting on the same data as you have on data tables in unique catalog. Of course, there are a few new features and capabilities. So one of the features is Git-style database branching. So you can spin up a full copy of your production in seconds. For instance, if you have an agent that needs to debugging data on production database, you can just make another copy within seconds, just make the change, test the change. If not, the change is satisfied, you can remove everything without touching production data at all. That's, in my opinion, really amazing. Another feature is the autonomous database operations. This is an AI agent which is watching the health of your instance, suggesting indexes, and running the routine maintenance of your Postgres instance. And the third functionality capability is a lake-based search, which is a hybrid vector and full text retrieval, and it is native in Progress. So the compression is huge. So you can run almost 32 compression on billion scale vector indexes. So you can imagine this is a better version of Google index search. So it's pretty amazing as well for me. Yeah, that's it for Lakebase. And the final topic I want to cover, it is really surprising because this announcing I believe, was kept in the safe, I would say. So Raiden, what is a Raiden? Raiden essentially is a new vectorized execution engine, and you can imagine this engine will run on, as I would say, against warehouse data. So this engine has a sub 100 millisecond analytic query latency, and you can run 12,000 queries per second directly on your data, delta tables or iceberg tables. So there is no separate serving layer. There is no materialized views to manage, no caching. Everything straightforward to running against your data. Yet this is a beta version, so this Raiden engine is not ready as for now for the users, for the enterprises. And the last topic I want to cover is LATP, which stands for Lake Transactional Analytical Processing. This is the claim where the word is ties into one word, I'd say. So one storage layer, one open formats, serving both transactional and analytical workloads without any change data capture pipelines in between. And the key topic here is the lake base. Lake base will be the foundation of that, because in lake base you will store data in columnar format as delta or iceberg, which is, and for delta and iceberg the foundation is the packet format. And how it will works? Historically in Postgres, you normally store data row by row in PG files. And how this situation will be resolved? Well, there's a neon lake-based architecture inside this lake-based instance with page servers and safe keepers. So the question here is, how can Postgres, which is lake-based, can do row-by-row operation on delta or iceberg tables? And the secret lies in the page servers, and this is very effectively cache the data in the raw format. Then that's essentially, that is the idea of that. And like I said, Raiden and LLTP, it's not general available right now. Is the future. So the claim is, from the Databricks perspective, is that you will have unified one world with transactional data and analytical data will be processed within one engine, and there will be no two separate worlds to analyze data which are OLTP or OLAP. So the claim is strong in my opinion, and we will see in the future how Databricks will deliver, and probably they will deliver this sooner than we are expecting this. So to sum up, if you see on from a bigger perspective, the lake base handles today the operational write path. Raiden handles the analytical path. Lakeflow handles the pipelines and the ingestion path. OmniGent handles the agent orchestration, and unique catalog, of course, everywhere is unique catalog governs all of it, right? So, in my opinion, the statement, as you said at the beginning, there will be no better warehouse from Databricks but the new world, where agents are the producers of data and the consumers of data.
Okay, thanks a lot, Pau. I think that's really, really important because, again, the consumers and also, as you mentioned, producers are going to be the agents. And obviously we need to, let's say, help them to work with the data, knowing how they work, what are the needs, prepare the data in a way that it's easier for them to consume it. But I think still there's a lot of focus also in how we can make this data available in most effective way, how to bring together, some of the areas that before were always split, like you were mentioning, the transaction analytical data. It's always been a problem. So I think it's good to see the focus is still on the right data foundations, on making the data available, and then how to make it useful, how to put it in in the right format for models agents to deliver these accurate answers, and also in the most cost effective way and secure way. So I think from what we saw last week, Databricks are positioning themselves very strong in all these areas, and I think it's looking really good how this will continue to evolve. Okay, so by the way, so I published my own summary and article, so you can see a bit more details on the areas I covered. I published this the beginning of this week. We will be publishing also Pavel's summary with more details on the points that he's been sharing today. So I encourage you to read them, because I think these are more deep dive into the technical areas that are super important to take into consideration. We'll be publishing this today, so again, we recommend you to watch out and have a read. And with this, I mean, we wanted to keep this also open for questions. We shared, like overview of the areas that we found interesting, but also wanted to open up to cover any questions anyone will have, and happy to answer. You have myself, you have Pavel, so we're here to answer any questions that anyone will have on either the topics we shared or any other areas that you might have heard of or you're interested in covering. So I can see first question. So question is, how is Genie ontology different from the semantic layers we already have in our BI tools? So this is important, because the semantic layers we obviously have had in the past, and many times these two things get mixed up or combined. So the reality is that the semantic layer we saw before was definition. I would say definition of data. So in the semantic layer, we would have definition of KPIs, definition of business terms. But the reality is that for BI tools, or if you're doing self-service BI is enough. Now agents need much more, which is to understand really the context of this data, because you can have the semantic layer with the actual definitions, but many times this is not enough to really have the business meaning, or what does it really mean. And that, I would say, the source also is different. Semantic layers BI tools are traditionally built upon your tables, so definition of the data you have in the tables. With this ontology, what you are also bringing in is the knowledge, understanding of your business, and it adds this context that I was mentioning before that is so important, and that together builds the necessary information that agents can use to better provide answers. So we have a question, what about Snowflake other engines? That question.
I believe I can answer that. In
Yeah.
terms of cooperation of Snowflake and Iceberg data format, Databricks not. Databricks are open to collaborate, right? So today with the Ninja catalog, you can have both data tables in the data format. You can have Iceberg tables. You can have reading from Iceberg tables from Snowflake infrastructure and from engine directing to the data table as well using open sharing. And open sharing, probably you've heard. If not, open sharing replaced data sharing solution on Databricks. So the terms that for that is that you don't have to copy data from external solution like Snowflake into Databricks. You can just only connect to that engine and just use this API from that connector and read the data into Unicode, right? So you don't have to have exact copy from the data, you are just reading, right? So in terms of that, open sharing is very, in my opinion, useful and important thing that everything is open sourced, and I believe Databricks is targeting this because Databricks believe that open sharing is the path, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's been very consistent on the way they've always designed the platform, and this being open, and this third point they mentioned on choice. So we had context, control, and choice. So everything was around, not all days when sometimes you got locked into technologies and then it was difficult to escape. So here the idea, obviously with the specifics of Databricks, but everything is thought to be open and should be easy to to take your right choices on which platforms you operate on. Okay, so we have a question: how the new product announcements and changes in strategy, more AI infra focus, affects existing solution and depreciation plans they have for this parallel offering of Databricks. No disruption. So, Pavel, you want to answer that?
Well, in my opinion, if you apply the Omnigent, right, this AI orchestrator, it's open source as I described. So this orchestration using agents can be run anywhere. So Databricks, I would say, the infrastructure that you have to have, right? That's the first thing. Everything's open source right now. Like I said before, that's the goal for Databricks, to have open sourced essentially everything. Formats, agents, orchestrator, probably maybe in the future some other products like Raiden, probably maybe it will be also open source. And I think that this is the strength of Databricks, to not lock in the vendor, right? I believe Databricks wants to have the control plane on the Databricks side, but everything else, the tools, what you are, the vendor of the cloud or on-premise solution you have, this is on you. Yeah? So that's my perspective here.
Yeah, I mean, I think in my opinion, and looking again to the growth of Databricks, and even represented in the amount of people attending this conference. I think in the last years, Databricks has done a huge effort and a huge work in having companies bring their data into Databricks, many times migrating from previous systems, and you see really a lot of companies that have built all their data foundation for data. So I think that the data foundation is there. I think there's actually some still evolution improvements in some areas. The data engineering part, Lakeflow, which has been developing in the last year. And then some of the improvements that we're also going to be seeing from the Lakehouse perspective. But the foundation is there, the data is there. Now it's really about optimizing how the data has been used. And I think the feeling I got was that's one of the key areas for Databricks. Genie is a big focus. Lakebase is a key focus. There's also the agent bricks to build agents, the app builder to then democratize building of apps around Genie, around agents. So full focus, we felt, and many times with Papa we talked, is on this side, but it's also because of the foundational work that has been done, and that in the end is the same strategy that we see at companies. Those that have built the right data foundation, have really solid data ingestion mechanisms, data storage, good governance, can now fully focus on maximizing how they build an AI on top of it. And I think with Databricks, they can get this. Okay, so we still have a bit more time. I don't see any other questions coming in. So I think we can be wrapping up. So this was came out a bit shorter than expected, but I wanted to compress it again. There was a lot of different sessions, a lot of key announcements there. Everything is available to be watched, and we also encourage you to visit our YouTube channel, to follow us. As I mentioned at the beginning, we are a Databricks partner. We have expertise building these both data foundations with Databricks and now AI. So also let's if you have any questions, if you want to consult anything, we invite you to contact us, and happy to have a conversation with myself, with Pavel, or other Databricks experts we have at DS Stream. So Pavel, thank you very much for joining. We close with this, our our adventure DAIS.
Our journey, yeah.
And we'll close it with your article. So it was also a great experience to share this with you, and thank you everyone for joining. I hope you found it useful, and again, contact us if you would like to know more. With this, we can close. So thank you very much, everyone, for